Hi, we're Team 10 and we have prepared this video to talk about light beer. We will be going over the general overview, some of the history behind light beer, the marketing aspect, the brewing process, customer preference, and we'll end it off with some facts and statistics.
So, what's light beer? In some areas, light beer refers to a beer with fewer residual carbohydrates, while in other parts, light beer refers to a beer with lower alcohol content than most of the regular beers. Usually, it has approximately 20 to 33% fewer calories than regular beer. Each country has different classifications for light beer. In Canada, light beer falls between 2.6 to 4% alcohol by volume, while in the United States, light beer falls between approximately 4% alcohol by volume. Alcohol content contributes the majority of calories in beer. Light beers are always lower in alcohol content than their comparable full-calorie, full-strength variant regular beer. Alcohol contains 7 calories per gram, while carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram. Here's a table comparing regular beer to light within the same brand and the associated calories per can and alcohol by volume. For example, Miller beer consists of 150 calories, while the Miller Lite, which is the light beer version, contains only 96 calories. Miller Lite contains 2/3 of the calories compared to the regular beer. It also has lower alcohol by volume content.
Some of you may wonder what light beer tastes like. The taste of light beer is described as a lightly flavored, smooth, clean, very dry beer that lacks bitterness. Light beer is low in international bitterness units. For example, light lagers range from 5 to 15 IBUs. Some people consider light beer less tasty and watered down. However, this is subjective and depends on personal taste preferences. Now, can people tell the difference between regular beer and light beer? Well, researchers did an investigation to see if young male and female social drinkers would be able to discriminate between regular, low-calorie, and low-alcohol beer. Each participant consumed 9 glasses of beer and had to identify what beer it was. Only 1/3 of the sample correctly identified more than 4 out of 9 beers. Participants made more errors than correct identification. The amount of beer someone usually consumes did not affect the participant's ability to discriminate between the different types of beer.
Now let's talk about the history of light beer, where it all began. Light beer was founded by a biochemist named Joseph Awadis in 1967 at Rheingold Brewing Company. He designed a way to reduce carbohydrates and calories in beer by removing starch from the original recipe. The result was a light-bodied, low-calorie brew. This led to the production of Gablinger's Diet Beer. Unfortunately, Gablinger's Diet Beer did not do so well. The name and the taste just weren't received well by the public, and it was very unsuccessful. What Gablinger's did wrong was they were targeting their beer towards health-conscious consumers, and these consumers were not looking for diet beers. They were just staying away from beers in general. Awadis then shared his recipe with a bigger company, Maestro Brau Brewing Company, which was later bought out by what we know today as the Miller Brewing Company, and thus Miller Lite was introduced and marketed. The company teamed up with a New York ad agency to avoid making the same mistakes that Gablinger's did. They aimed to market towards heavy beer consumers. These were sports watching couch potatoes and barflies. This group drank beer almost daily and stood to gain the most out of a lower calorie option. They appealed to this demographic by marketing with sports programming. Miller Lite was a huge success. It ended up being the first light beer to be commercially produced and sold 5 million barrels in its first year. They used the slogan, "A great tasting premium beer that is less filling." This was better than naming it a diet beer because it appealed to a larger demographic and not just those dieting.
So moving on, let's see how the light beer is made. There are 3 methods used to make light beer. First method, which is the simplest method, is to dilute the conventional beer with water. pros of this method is that it's very easy and it's very cheap. However, this will lead to an aqueous, watered down product which is very unpleasant with the characteristics that are not similar to the conventional beer. Second method includes the extension of mashing process, which will lead to a natural breakdown of carbohydrates into a simple sugar by the enzymes. The goal of this process is to break down as much of the starch as we possibly can with the enzymes that are already present in the mix. The process will generate a beer which has a good taste and does not feel like it's watered down. However, this process is very time consuming and as well as energy consuming. So the cost of making light beer by this method is very high. The third method is kind of based on first two methods, but it will produce a beer which is good in taste and is very less time consuming and energy consuming. Now the basic idea is again the same, which is to break down the starch as much as we possibly can. However, in this process, during the mashing process, exogenous enzyme from the source other than malt is added. In addition to the enzyme, little water is also added to ensure better adjunct liquefaction.
Now let's talk about why people might drink light beer. A few studies were done to explore consumer perceptions and motives for purchasing or drinking light beer. What the studies found was that the two main reasons were low alcohol content and low calorie content. Low alcohol content was a driver because people want low alcohol drinks as a response to alcohol-related control policies, also as a substitute for those that want to reduce their alcohol consumption to avoid getting drunk, and health reasons. People also drank light beer due to its low calorie content, in response to increased prevalence of dietary-related diseases, a response to increased health awareness among consumers, and because it's a healthier alternative for people that want to maintain a healthy diet. Overall, low calorie content is more of a driver than low alcohol content.
Facts and statistics of light beer. Since the introduction of light beer, it has grown tremendously in its popularity across the globe. In the US, light beer has the largest market share compared to the other countries. That is, approximately 50% of beer sold in 2005 was light beer. This number has actually doubled since 1998. 4 of the 5 most purchased beer in 2010 was light beer. Globally, between 2006 and 2011, consumption of light beer increased by approximately 47%. Top 3 light beer brands include Bud Light, Miller Lite, and Coors Light. Bud Light is the number 1 beer sold in the US, and it controls 19% of the market share, while Miller Lite controls 9% and Coors Light controls 8%.
Originally, our group had prepared a game of Jeopardy to play with the class. It was just going to be a fun little game to play based on what we had just presented. So we were going to split up the class into teams and then let them choose questions to answer, and then there was going to be a prize at the end. So we obviously didn't end up doing that, but we just wanted to kind of show you guys what we had prepared. We had prepared 3 categories of questions: general, history, and marketing, and then up to 500 points for each. Each team was going to be able to choose a point or category, I guess, and answer the question associated with it. So if you got the question right, you would have gotten the points. At the end, the team with the most points would have won a prize, which we'll insert a picture of right here. But unfortunately, we obviously weren't able to do that, but we just wanted to show you guys this little game we had prepared because we put a lot of work into it. We have reached the end of our presentation now, and we wanted to thank everyone for watching and listening. Hopefully you all learned something new about light beer and all the marketing that has gone into making it such a huge success in the beer industry. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.